Welcome to Me Kamche Israel. In PARASHAT CHUKAT, we encounter one of the most difficult episodes in the entire Torah. After the passing of Miriam, the miraculous well that had accompanied the Jewish people throughout their journey in the desert, it ceased to flow. The nation found itself without water, and Moshe Rabbeinu was instructed by Borei Olam to restore the supply through a miracle. And what followed would, of course, alter the course of Jewish history. Moshe, as we know, struck the rock. The water flowed. The nation drank. Yet Moshe Rabbeinu was informed he would never enter the land of Eretz Yisrael. And for centuries, the commentators have struggled to understand the precise nature of his failing, and among the most famous explanations is that of Rashi. And according to Rashi, Moshe had been instructed to speak to the rock. Had he done so, the Jewish people would have witnessed something extraordinary, a rock obeying the word of Borei Olam. The resulting Kiddush Hashem would have been unforgettable, and perhaps that is exactly what the Torah wants us to appreciate. The significance of a moment isn't always measured by what happens. Sometimes it's measured by what that moment could have inspired. A single moment can elevate a person, a family, a community, sometimes an entire nation. The challenge, of course, is that we rarely recognize those moments while they are unfolding. Most of the time they appear completely ordinary. And that brings us to a remarkable story. A number of years ago, the Harel family was traveling in northern Israel. And as they passed the Kinneret, the father of the family asked his wife if they could stop for a few minutes so he could pray at the kever of Rabbi Meir Baal HaNes. While he was away, his wife and two daughters walked down toward the water, and the Kinneret was calm. You've seen it. It's peaceful. It's inviting. One of the girls entered the water and began swimming a little bit far from shore. Then suddenly, everything changed. A powerful current caught her and began pulling her away, and within moments, she was struggling. A moment later, she was panicking, then disappearing beneath the surface. Her mother ran toward the water, screaming her daughter's name, but the mother couldn't swim. Terrified, she raced toward the road desperately, waving down passing cars. Cars slowed. Some people looked. Some hesitated. Most people, they kept on driving. Then one car stopped. The driver was a secular Israeli named Avi Levin. One glance at the mother's face told him everything. "My daughter," she cried. "She's drowning, she's drowning." And Avi ran toward the water. His wife followed behind, screaming, "Avi, be careful. You have heart conditions. Avi, I'm begging you, be careful." But Avi was already removing his jacket. Moments later, he was fighting the current, stroke after stroke, until finally he reached the girl. He pulled her back toward the shore, and as he emerged from the water, exhausted and gasping for breath, the mother suddenly screamed again, "My other daughter." In the chaos, her younger daughter had entered the water after her sister. She was now even much further from the shore. Avi had every reason to stop. He had already done more than anyone could ask. Instead, he turned around and he went back. Again, he battled the current. Again, he pushed beyond what his body should have been capable of. Mi Kamche Yisrael. And this time, by the time he reached the girl, he had nothing left. Witnesses later recalled seeing him stagger toward the shore, carrying her on his shoulders, then collapsing onto the sand. And several days later, the family had a Seudat Hoda'ah and invited Avi to attend. During the meal, someone asked him if he would just say a few words. Avi stood up and he began speaking. "I used to be a competitive swimmer," he said. "Years ago, I suffered a rough heart attack, and then I had another one. The doctors warned me to slow down and stay out of the water. But for some reason in therapy, I kept sneaking off and swimming every day, a little more, a little bit farther." He paused. "To be honest, I never really understood why." The room was silent. Then Avi looked at the two girls sitting across from him and he said, "Now I do. Had I stopped swimming, if I had stopped my training, there's no chance I would have had the strength to save those two little girls." Then his voice became emotional. "But that's not the part that really changed me internally." He explained that when he brought the second girl back to the shore, she appeared lifeless. People were surrounding her. Emergency personnel were working frantically, initiating CPR. And Avi was convinced he wasn't going to survive. He slowly walked up to a nearby hill overlooking the Kinneret. Avi had grown up on a secular kibbutz. Prayer wasn't part of his world. Yet at that moment, he looked toward Shemayim and he said the following, "Ribono shel olam, I've never spoken to you before. If this little girl lives, then consider it as though I have prayed to you every day of my life. Take all the prayers I never said, take all the tefillot I never offered, and let them come together right now, just this once. Please, I beg you, Borei Olam, let her live. A short time later, word reached him that the girl had regained consciousness miraculously. She would survive. Avi looked at the room and he says, I spent years wondering why I kept pushing myself to sneak off and swim. Years wondering why I refused to quit. I thought I was training for myself, but Borei Olam was preparing me for a moment I couldn't yet see. Ladies and gentlemen, most of us live our lives without realizing the significance of moments that stand before us. Sometimes it's a simple conversation. Maybe it's a decision, an act of kindness. Maybe it's a Kiddush Hashem. At the time, they often appear minuscule, ordinary, almost most often forgettable. But the lesson of Parashat CHUKAT is that some moments carry consequences far greater than we can possibly imagine. Had Moshe spoken to the rock, an entire nation would have witnessed a rock responding to the word of Borei Olam. The Kiddush Hashem would have been unimaginable and unforgettable, and perhaps that's why the Torah records this episode in such detail, to remind us that we never truly know the weight of a moment. Avi Levin discovered what years of preparation were leading to a single moment he couldn't yet see. And we too are being prepared for moments whose significance may only become clear much later. What may seem ordinary to us today may be shaping someone else's future forever. And may we merit to recognize the opportunities Borei Olam places before us. And may we use them to bring honor to His name. Mika Amchi Yisrael. Shabbat Shalom and Mevorach.